Many people spend their careers working in the field. Some stay because it's the only thing they know. Some grow from the inside out, learning every aspect of the business. Scott Fuksa is one of those bold men. He's tenacious, driven, and strong. He never asks someone to do something he hasn't done. He is a fitter welder by trade that makes for his competitive mindset. Let's hear where the work took him. Hey, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate you showing up today.
Yes, sir.
It was funny. I was thinking about the other day. When did we first meet? What year was that? 2022? 2021?
I think it was 2022. No, I came and saw you in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
came
I
to
visited Calvert.
Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Came to Calvert.
Yeah. Yep.
We really didn't. I don't think we talked much. Yeah, we talked a little bit.
You were pretty busy that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you take on a new role, like maybe director of sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then of course we got to do the leadership program, so we really started to connect there.
Yeah. That was about
Good stuff.
6-8 months later. Yeah.
And now I'm picked up, moved across the country, and now I work for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Really
yeah. No,
am.
me too. No.
So I definitely want to dive into how you got to this point, man. I know we've had some great conversations in our one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I mean, let's go back 18 years old, you graduate, you had this plan and took someone along for the ride, and let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So if you're going to start at 18, so I graduated, I was going to go to school.
College?
No, I was going to go to trade school. I was going to be an auto mechanic, I was enrolled in UTI in Houston. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, were you living in Texas at that point?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew
That's
up in
right.
Texas.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so yeah, I was going to go, but met somebody.
Who was that?
Changed my mind. Yeah.
Who was that?
So it was my wife, Leslie. Yeah, so we started dating. I guess right before I graduated, we started dating. She was probably a sophomore. I was a senior. And yeah, so kind of hit it off, canceled school, started working for a contractor after graduation, and
Make some money.
yeah, had to make money. And she graduated, a couple years later. Graduated in May. We were married in June.
What kind
She
of money?
turned 18 in June.
What kind of money were you making back when you first started?
$9.50, bud. I was killing
$9.50.
it. Banking, right? $9.50 an hour.
Gas is probably what?
Yeah.
50 cents, 75 cents, 99 cents. a
No,
gallon?
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it that low. I think I'm in the 90s.
Yeah,
I'm in the 90s. Yeah, but so we got married. I bought a house. I bid on it for $1,310. So I bought a house and we started. We got it. We kind of got it fixed up. Sold it. Then I built her a new one in Wichita Falls. Yeah, my dad and I took about 4 months.
Wow.
That done. Yeah.
All at what age? 19, 20?
So I was 21 by then.
Wow.
Yeah, by then I was 21.
Wow. Not too many people are doing that these days, man.
Yeah, I was a little ambitious. I went a little faster than most, so.
Why
But,
do you think that was?
dude, I started out fast. I was like, this is my playground, man. This world it's built for fun. Let's go do it. I mean, I was driven by success. How are you going to be successful? And
Yeah.
I really didn't have the job, but
Yeah.
I knew how to build. I knew how to build houses. My dad knew how to build houses. Like, let's get that started. Let's get that done. So we started.
So carpenter by trade then, really?
That's my dad. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I grew up. Yeah, learned how to build stuff. That's how we did. Yeah.
And then at what point did you start
So with this contractor, I did a little bit of everything, and of course that house was in Wichita Falls. I kind of moved closer to work. The other house was about 38 miles away. So yeah, we moved there, and I was just, of course, I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. You got a new house and a decently new car, and you're making $9.50 an hour. Even by today's math, it just don't work, right? So it was getting a little tight. But my stepdad, he's a union guy. And he knew what I did and everything, and he actually was traveling up in Colorado Springs.
Explain that, because I don't think too many people. I mean, some people get traveling, but
Yeah.
explain the traveling.
So yeah, so traveling is it's almost like a lifestyle that you adopt. So there's a lot of money out there on the road. There's a lot of money out there. I didn't know this at the time, but there's a lot of money to be had if you're willing to go get it. So he was out going to get money. Him and my mom, they were in an RV, and he calls me one day and he's like, "Hey, I want you to come work for me in Colorado." And I'm like, Dude, it'd take like $17 an hour to get me out there. I'm just spitting stupid numbers.
You thought you thrown a big number up.
Yeah. And then he immediately come back with what does 25, 30 sound like? I'm like, I'll be
Sold.
there. I'll be there Monday. Yeah, be there Monday. Yeah, because I didn't know anything about the union. I wasn't in the union. I didn't know that they had a scale. I didn't know what scale was. I didn't know anything. So I just I told Leslie about it. And
How was that perceived?
oh, she's great. She's always been great. Yeah, no matter my ambitions, she's always been behind them. It's weird.
I mean, to get ready to pack up.
Yeah, but see, she wasn't. She didn't go with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she stayed with the house. Yeah, she stayed with the house, and because we didn't know. I mean, I didn't know. I was like, what if I get out there and I fail miserably? I'm coming back. So she stayed with the house, and I went up there, and I think I worked for a couple of months, and that's when I learned about orbital welding. I could weld and stuff, but I didn't know anything about this.
Suitcase.
It's called a high-tech redneck, right? So this computer programming, welding, cool stuff, So I started getting into that, and I told and we decided after the first couple paychecks that I was going to be around for a minute, right? Yeah.
You saw the money.
Oh yeah.
You thought, all right,
Well,
it's
I mean,
real now.
you go from I don't know what is 950 times 40.
You're a better mathematician than me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you're going from a little of nothing to $1,200-$1,500 a week. I mean, because I'm working overtime and just.
Yeah, what kind of hours were you getting?
I was at that time I was doing 712s.
712s.
Yeah,
Man,
that's
you don't
what
even have time to spend money at that.
Yeah, no.
You're just making money going to sleep, doing it all over again.
That's it. But at 21,
I mean,
you don't need sleep, right?
Yeah,
All you need is
all.
money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so it worked out that we decided that that's what we wanted to do, and I actually got an apartment there in Colorado Springs.
So you're traveling, you're hitting the power plant, microchip.
Yeah.
That was starting to get
Computer
big.
chips, yeah.
And you're orbital welding.
Yeah.
And just going from spot to spot to spot.
Yeah.
So at any given time, you get a phone call and you're going back across the country.
Yeah.
So
sure.
at this point, do you have a camper? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So eventually, after the apartment, all that fell through, or it didn't fall through. It's just a bad decision.
You
It's
learn,
terrible.
right?
You learn because you got to pay to get out of those contracts, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we went and got a fifth wheel, and we're bouncing all over.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so from.
Now is fear still at all? At this point, fear's not even in the mindset, right?
I had no
fear.
fear. And I mean, you got to think this is before maps or before cell phones. So you had maps. My dad had a lot of fear, but he kept an atlas by his chair to make sure I got where I needed to go, no matter what. Right. So,
right.
So we never feared. We actually, it was a good thing for us because we got to grow up together. Because it was just me and her out on the road. I mean, we were thousands of miles away from home, and it was me and her.
Who's your best friend?
Yeah, always has.
That's
Always
awesome.
will be, yeah. So
speaking of the map thing, I remember we talked. You were lost. You took a
I
bad
did.
turn.
Yeah.
There's no GPS. There's no cell phone.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
You give Dad a call.
Yeah. So well, I was working in New York at that time. We was at Fishkill, and I took the wrong turn. I don't know how I missed it, but I took the next one. I'm like, this ought to get me back. Well, it started whining and doing crazy stuff, and before long, I just stopped because I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea where I'm at. So I called Dad, and I'm like, Dad, I'm lost. He's like, what do you mean you're lost? I'm like, I don't know where I'm at. I was like, I was headed back. I don't know where I'm going. And he's like, well, and he pulls his map up because that's where he kept it by his chair, and he's like, what was the last thing you did? And I was like, well, I missed the whatever freeway it is, that big freeway. I said, so I took the next highway, and I said, that's the last thing I know. I said, he just started doing crazy stuff after that. And he goes, yeah, I think you're right here. He said, go. He said, take a left where you're at. And then if you don't know where you're at in 15 minutes, call me back. And dude, it was like he knew exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was always there for me. He was always the one that got me back home.
That's awesome.
Because I was just young. I was crazy.
Yeah. And at that point, you're still running the roads at what, 22, 23?
22, 23, 24. I think we did it. We were successful on the road for about 7, 8 years.
What shut it down?
So I always tend to blame the biological clock, Yeah, you're getting older, you don't have babies. I mean, we've been married for, 7, 8 years by now. We don't have any babies, but anyway, I think it was almost mutual. We were coming back. I was supposed to be, one of the last trips from DC. I say DC, but Manassas,
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, in your neck of the woods. We were coming back, and I was supposed to be going to LA. to a chip plant there, and we made it to Oklahoma, and we got 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 to Okl And I just pulled over and I'm just like, I stopped. She's like, what are you stopping for? Because I don't stop. Like, yeah, we just go, you know. And I just say, I don't think. I said, I don't want to. So what do you mean? It's like, I want to go home. She's like, why? And I'm like, well, I think we're done. I said, I think I'm done with this. I'm just done.
You had a
know?
moment. I mean,
Yeah.
like
I
it
was just like, that was it. You know, we're at the crossroads. We can either go home or we can keep going west. And we went home. Pissed off my BA, you know, my business agent. He was not good.
yeah.
It was his last job he found me, yeah. Yeah. So we went home and I'd like to say I got off the road, but I didn't because that money calls you back. When you start making that money, it calls you back.
Yeah, it's hard to walk away, right?
Yeah, and I was still out of a local in Texas, which was a suitcase local at the time, you know, real small local that didn't have a lot of work. So I did find a gig in Oklahoma, orbital welding. There happened to be one at Kodak in Weatherford that I was able to make it on. It was a pretty long job, which was good for me because I was able to clear in.
Yeah.
So I cleared into Oklahoma City at that time, 344, and we ended up buying a house there and settling because my dad had moved up to Oklahoma by then to be with my grandma, and we settled there. But you know, the road still called. You know, they'd call with a ridiculous amount of money, and I'd be gone. There was one
Yeah.
year that I saw my wife for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
at that point, still no kids?
No kids.
Okay.
Yeah, no kids, but we're preparing, right? So we found out that we're not.
So how were you communicating? I guess what, payphones?
No. By then there was
Cell
cell
phone.
phone.
Yeah,
By then,
yeah,
no,
you're right,
yeah.
yeah.
By then we were good. But no,
Okay.
yeah. So we found out pretty quick that we weren't going to have kids the natural way, right? So there was something wrong, and we was going to go through in vitro, which is not cheap at that time. for
Wow,
you
yeah.
know. So yeah. So the call of the road really wasn't that hard to call. You know, hard to answer. So I went out. Just supposed to be a little 4 or 5 month stint. You know, like, honey, I'm leaving. We're gonna make money. Come back, pay this big bill, have some babies. We're good. You know. So 6 months went by, and then there was another job in Utah. That was back in your neck. So DC is where I went.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months later, there's a big job in Utah. You know, I'm like, and they're calling. They're like, hey, we need you out here. X amount of per diem, X amount of dollars per hour,
More money.
more money. You know, and I call her. I'm like, hey, just give me this other. Just a little bit longer. I'll never do it again. You know, never, ever.
Just one more time.
One more time.
Yeah.
And we did. So it was a year. So that year I got to see her. She came up to Manassas that one time to see me for a week, and then I was in Utah and we went on a cruise for Christmas for a whole solid year.
Was that kind of
Only
like
2
that,
weeks. Yeah.
the topping out party?
That was
done.
it. That was it.
That's awesome.
That was it. Yep. Almost killed myself on the way back, and that was the end of it. Yeah.
Wow. What do you
Yeah.
mean almost killed yourself?
Just headed up southern Utah, man. So Lonnie Henderson, he was my fitter actually from Oklahoma City. When we decided to drag up, we decided that's it. It's over. We're done. We're going home. One night late, and we knew a storm was coming, but we're like, hey, we got this. We can beat it.
Oh, you freaking kept riding.
Yeah.
with the trailer on the back?
Yeah, had the trailer on the back. Yeah, old Dodge diesel wound up going up a mountain, and then it started snowing.
Wow.
So yeah, so it got to where it was a lot, you know, just light on the road. Then it got to where you couldn't see the road. Then it got to where I was going backwards down the road coming down. I already had the seatbelt off, and I had the handle. I was fixing to bail, and it stopped. The truck stopped, and we're like in the middle of this road, and Lonnie's happening behind me. You know, he's in his own pickup. He had a set of chains. Thank God, right? And so we're out there in the pitch black trying to put chains on. So we did. We chained it up, got to the top.
Wow.
Slept at the top overnight, and then came back down daylight. So yeah, that was the end.
So, being a fitter, welder,
Mhm.
I guess you had apprentices.
I did.
Yeah. So
Had a lot.
when you got to Jackson, did you have apprentices there too?
I did.
I've heard some
no,
stories.
we
By the way,
started-
I'm just gonna let you know. I've heard some stories,
Yeah.
but they're all stories. I've
Yeah.
heard some good stories.
Yeah.
I know that you care about your people.
I do.
You cared about your apprentices.
I do.
That's the one thing about. I consider apprentices. They're like our children, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
Respectfully, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we want to watch them be better than us.
Oh, yeah.
And there was that saying, train them to take your job.
That's it.
And I feel like you live by that model, Scott.
I do the best I can.
Did you have some situations where you look back that maybe you could have handled things differently? Or,
I think so. I
I mean,
think.
you've been a leader from day one.
Yeah. No. I've had some. I mean, you get good apprentices. You get some that you think are bad that turn out to be great, better than the ones you thought were going to be good. I think there's a lot of times where I think that you go, and as you're teaching and training, that stuff isn't sinking in, and you get harder, harder to deal with, a little harder to work with, a little bit stricter,
Oh, yeah.
a little bit more demanding, and I, I had an apprentice that I was pretty hard on, That's the way we were back then. I mean, we were just a little.
What was hard for you though? Because nowadays it's 2024. Hard now isn't the same to back to being hard in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah. It was hard. I mean, he's just a little harder. I mean, it's the way you talk to him, the way you treat him. You don't befriend him as much as you do these days. You just, you're very strict. Very, hey, if you're going to get this, and this is going to be a career, then you start now. So I guess my main speech to the guys when I start is like, hey, do you want a job or do you want a career? Because if you want a job, you don't want to work with me. Because I have a job. I don't do jobs.
Right.
I got careers. If you want to do a career, come with me and we'll do careers. So they got to buy in pretty quick. And you have some that takes a while. It takes a lot of hard talks to get there.
What's that cutoff point for you?
Cut off
Meaning like
when I
60 days, 90 days, you get that gut that tells you like this, they don't want it.
Usually you can tell that in the first 30 days.
Yeah.
And if you haven't corrected in 90, then it's probably not going to correct. I believe there's a lot to how people are raised and how their personality exists to be able to accept a little harder training that we give.
Yeah.
And there's also a little bit of us as hard old guys that's got to give to reach somebody that doesn't have the same personality.
That's a challenge.
It is.
That's something that we definitely deal with every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking back at your career, because now you're the president of Jackson Mechanical,
Yes, sir.
pulling that camper around, traveling across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think you'd be in that situation? This situation?
I would say no, but I never left it off the table. I mean,
Is that something that you were like, I'm going to do this one day?
I knew that I would not be welding one day.
Yeah.
I knew that I would be either running my own company or, or something.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it'd stop at project management. Because I did go from welder to project management to VP to president. So just as a success for me would have been project management. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's solving problems.
It was. Yeah. Yeah.
If looking back, if you had to tell Scott at 18 years old,
Mm-hmm.
that Scott, knowing what you know now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell that kid? If you're giving him that secret formula, those words of wisdom to help, we try to save our kids headaches, right? They don't listen to it. Mine doesn't listen to me. But if you had to tell that person what you know now, what would you tell them?
I would. I just tell him you got it because I'd be afraid to tell him anything else. I wouldn't change anything about the 18-year-old guy just because if I change that 18-year-old guy, I change the wife. If I change the wife, I change the kids. And I ain't doing that. I won't go that route.
That's
Just
all.
say go hard. Just go. Do what you do. You got it. You might not know now, but you got it. Yeah.
Are you seeing a lot of opportunities for the people around you at Jackson?
I do. And also Atlantis. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think our team is great. I mean, my team is phenomenal. We're going into a meeting here pretty quick upstairs about numbers, and they're not. I report them, but I don't execute them all. Right?
Yeah.
The team does.
Yeah.
The team cares. They're bought in. They're there. I show up at 6. They show up before 7, and we're rolling.
That's awesome.
And a lot of time, most of them, they don't get paid. They get paid for 40 hours a week. The management team, they're amazing. Yeah.
From on the road, mechanical rooms, turning wrenches, sweating your ass off,
Mm-hmm.
to office life, running a business. Looking back, what do you miss, man? What do you miss about that? Just throwing your tools in the back of the truck, whatever it might be. There's something that we all look back and kind of reflect.
Oh yeah, no, I miss the camaraderie of the team, of the pipe fitting crew. I love the fact that I wasn't I didn't pride myself as a good welder, but I was an excellent fitter, right? So I love the fact that I could build a room and everything fits perfectly, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And just walk away from
Did you
it.
leave enough room for insulation?
I left enough room for everything. Yeah, no, it's so funny. There's this time at Hertz, the actual customer, he said, "Man, I bet you a case of beer none of this fits," because I was building it like just building it,
Oh,
and he
yeah.
couldn't believe it. I said, "I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take that bet because this is all going to fit, and there's not going to be one miss. You know, we're installing a whole chiller system. You know, so
Right.
pump, chiller, the whole deal, big pipe, like 10, 12, 18 inch, all of it. You know,
Laying it out with a plumb bob and a square. Right?
I was doing laser at that time, laser level. You know, basically a plumb bob.
Right, right, yeah.
Plumb bob. I don't have all that fancy stuff they have these days, but
Oh,
yeah, I at least had that, and yeah, it all fit. He couldn't believe it. So yeah, no, that's what I miss. I miss the
Challenge.
I miss the challenge. Because so that's what's great about going from prints to what we do in service, right? So building stuff to prints, yeah, you can do it all day, but you don't understand why you're doing it. But when you go to service, you got to think of it all, man.
You got to think
You
outside
gotta-
the box.
It's got to work.
I remember piping out a unit and didn't think about that service tech, and that's the first thing they called out.
Yeah,
How are we going to get to this?
100%. It's funny to think as I evolved in my career as a pipe fitter, how many times I didn't think of that guy. You know, towards the end, I did. You know, towards the end, I would definitely give them the clearance they needed. But at first, I'm like, this is where my pipe goes.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't care where you're going.
I ain't worried about you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be out here.
Yeah. So yeah. It was great. It's great.
Hey, I appreciate you sharing today, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Well, I'm glad to be working for you now.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't pull a camper down here, but I did jump out that airplane and come down here, man.
Yeah.
And it's been great. And for you to take time, share some of these personal stories, I think it's gonna reflect and resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Scott.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Sir.